faced Gus Malzahn's offenses at Alabama. Just what's the most challenging part about it when you have to prepare for that attack?
The tempo would be first. Physicality would probably be second. They're extremely physical, which a lot of people don't give them credit for, but they run the ball downhill and they spread you out and throw it around the field. So they can do this, they can do this. He's got a lot of toys to work with, speed sweep guys, and he's got a powerful offensive line that does a good job. So it's frustrating because they use tempo to help them.
Facing several teams so far this year that have played tempo on you guys, how have those teams helped you kind of prepare for Auburn?
Well, every tempo is different. The tempo is not just tempo. There's tempo there's mostly zone teams, and then there's some tempo teams that really run at you. These guys, they do that. It seems like every time I've ever been part of a staff playing his offense, it's the end of the year. You see him beat up, and they just want to beat you up. You got bumps and bruises at the end of the year, and it's a physical game. And it's hard to get ready for sometimes because at the end of the year, you're not trying to practice as hard and hit your team as hard because they've been hitting so long consecutively. So I think what you play in earlier tempo teams, it's easier to prepare for than when you play them later in the season.
Coach, Rashad Roundtree's a guy we're going to get a chance to talk to today. Can you just update us on kind of what his progress has been since he's moved to linebacker and kind of how he's fitting in and helping you guys out?
He's very intelligent, very instinctive. He has good size for a DB, not great size for a linebacker, but he's got great toughness. He's really helped on special teams is where his best role's been. And we felt like that there was a situation where he was closer to playing at linebacker than playing at safety right now. It's not a move that's permanent, but he still plays in our dime package as a DB, so he's still developing as a defensive back, but he's been good for us.
DeAndre Walker's a guy that we had a chance to talk to last night. High energy guy, we've talked about him different times this year. How have you seen him progress up to this point?
He's kind of gone like this. He started out the season learning what to do, and he picked that up and played really well a couple games. And then we've had a couple games where he hadn't played as much. We've played really physical teams and teams that come downhill at you, and he's a loose play. He can run really fast, special teams player, good pass rusher. But learning what to do is really important for him and being able to execute it. But he's kind of a twitchy guy that we don't have a lot of, so it's nice to have him.
He had a run there of getting a bunch of penalties, he said. You and him talked a couple times about that.
Yeah, we did, but that didn't have any effect on his playing. It's more about the kind of teams we've played. If he can help the team, benefit the team, then he's going to be out there. And he is a fast guy that makes a lot of space plays. But we do a penalty deal every week, and he's been part of that penalty deal we do. So he knows where we stand on that.
Kirby, is it a fair assumption that when there's talented defensive linemen in this state, that Georgia and Auburn are both going to be kind of, in the mix probably towards the end? Why does that seem to always be?
I think everybody's in on it. Tennessee's in on them too. Everybody, talented defensive linemen are hard to find, first of all. So they're a premium when it comes to recruiting, and everybody wants them. You just can't get enough of them. You look at the greatest teams out there; they all got really good defensive linemen. So it's hard. Everybody wants them. Everybody competes for them. So it does end up, Georgia, Auburn, but everybody's in there. I think it's just nationwide. They're hard to find.
Speaking of defensive linemen, at this point in the week, how are you feeling about Trent, DeQuan, and Nate Trez?
Trez ain't a D-line.
I know. The first two were.
Defending him. He
was in high school.
Yeah, he's done it all. Daquan is still day-to-day. Trenton practiced today, seemed fine. And Nate Trez he's out there practicing. Not a lot he can do right now from a contact standpoint, but we think he's going to be all right.
Is his a shoulder? Is that what he's dealing with?
A little bit.
Okay.
This group of D linemen you have, freshmen, sophomores, how good can this group be?
They got a long way to go. The fact they're playing, is it because they're really good or is that a necessity? I always say that. I'm proud of them. I love them, but they got to improve. They got to improve in a lot of areas. Julian's got to improve. Julian had, I don't know how many tackles he had last week. He had a lot of stats, but Julian can play better. Julian's got to play with more strike and more paddling. Each one of those guys. But can they be great? Yeah, they can be great. My history has been that you don't have to play freshman D linemen. all right, because you got enough of them. We've had to play them, and they're learning trial by fire, and each one's a little different than the other one, and they've all been pleasant surprises. But you know, we're continuing to recruit a lot of D linemen because we have to have them, and if the ones we recruit are better than these guys, and they don't get better, they'll get passed by. So, I mean, the guys here on the team realize that we're always trying to get better. So, if you're not working at your trade, it's the same thing in the NFL. They'll pass you by if you're not careful.
How many of those guys would you ideally like to sign each year? I know people say sign on the offensive, defensive lineman.
I've said this before, Anthony. As many as you can. There's no number. I mean, if I could sign 8 good D linemen, I would. I would. Now, is that realistic? Probably not. But 8 good D linemen that have different traits. A run stopper, a pass rusher, a guy that might be converted to an O-lineman, anything there, you're going to size, speed guys. And there's no limit to that number that I'll put on anything.
Did you recruit Trey Matthews either time he was looking for a school, and what's your impressions of what he's doing now at Auburn?
Trey is a really good player. I recruited him at high school. I didn't recruit him when all the transfer stuff was going on, but we recruited him at high school, and really good player. He's physical, he's fast, he enjoys playing the game. You can see he plays with a lot of excitement out there. Right-eyed kid.
How much of an influence has Kevin Steele had on your career?
A lot. You know, Kevin, when I was a GA at Florida State, he took me in, brought me over to his house, fed me all the time, got to know his son, his wife. I mean, he and Mickey Andrews and Joe Kynes were they weren't all there at the same time, but I was with Coach Kynes one year and then Kevin the next. And he helped connect me to Coach Saban because he knew him. He helped teach me a lot about football. Very bright, very intelligent, great guy. So I mean, I've always enjoyed coaching with Kevin.
What does David Bellamy bring to this Georgia defense, and how do you think he's progressed in his junior year?
Attitude, toughness, demeanor, not afraid to speak. And how's he progressed? I think he's gotten better. I mean, we recruited him out of high school, and I didn't see him much until I got here. He's improved. He can still improve, but his attitude and demeanor are what you want. I mean, he is a little bit the personality of our defense because he's fiery and he plays hard.
Coach, you noticed in the Kentucky game, Juwan Taylor in there for some snaps, particularly in a goal line situation, I think it was, where I actually noticed him. Where does he fit in the rotation, and what's your rotation? Does your rotation change when you're facing a team kind of like this, you know, for your inside linebacker spots?
Yeah, it's changed week to week, but some of that's just been out of bare necessity. You know, we had guys getting dinged. Trez got dinged, and he ended up coming back, I think, and Roquan had a play where he had to come out, and that's what put Juwan into play. Right now, he would be the 4th linebacker, and we've been playing with 3. So we have to lose 2 for him to go in. But it's not really a style of play for him. He's probably the most solid guy. And we've got other guys developing. Johnny O'Neal, who's been able to play. He's really a thick, stick you inside the box guy. Tay is growing. We're trying to get Tay ready. We're not sitting there trying to say wait till next year. It's just we think he's going to be a good player because he's athletic, but he doesn't know all the calls and know everything. And then Rashad and Juwan. So there's 4 other guys there that roll in, but we got 3 that we want to play with right now.
With the change and how how inside linebacker play is, I mean, a lot of those guys, I mean, Ruben over at Alabama, I mean, he's trimmed down some, and he's playing kind of a different style game than maybe you would have thought coming out of high school. Does that kind of give those guys a better chance, some of those smaller guys, some of those faster guys, a chance to see the field?
I don't know. I mean, look at last week's game and this week's game. I don't want to play with smaller guys.
Yeah.
Because it was a bloodbath last Saturday. Now, this is going to be even more so. So, I mean, I don't think you can be little and play linebacker in this league. You say, well, you got to have speed, you got to be able to play spread. Everybody says that. Well, these guys are going north and south. Camp Petway is going north and south. I'm tired of watching tape of that guy running over everybody. It's disheartening. So little linebackers, especially of faint heart, if you don't have the right kind of heart to go in there and stroke a guy, it's tough. You know, in the law of physics, say a 212-pound man, a 240-pound man, there's going to be you better have some thump. I've seen one guy, LSU, Guy Beckwith. He's the only one that's come close to winning that battle. So size is really important at that position, and that's what we'll continue to try to recruit and develop and get our guys bigger here, get them bigger and stronger.
Coach, you talked a lot about the running backs at Auburn, obviously, but in regard to Sean White, what do you think from him, and how has he improved in your mind since last year?
A lot. He's a lot better passer. He's more confident in the system. He knows that system inside and out, and that's when they're dangerous. When they've got a guy that knows how to execute the plays they want to run. His eyes are in the right spot on the reads. He makes quick decisions. When you mess up and you miss a guy, he punishes you. And he fits. I mean, he really fits it to a T. And I know he's not been 100% healthy, and he's not, you know, he may not be the greatest runner in the world. This guy's quick. This guy's got good quickness, and he takes off running, and he's made some big runs in the games. I mean, they run the same play they ran with Cam Newton with him, and they run it right up the middle. So, I mean, it's a situation where he fits what they do really well.
On the defensive side, how, obviously a lot of the notoriety goes to Lawson, but how huge have Adams and Davidson been for the defensive line?
They're really good players. They're really athletic. And when you talk about twitch and a 300-pound man, a 300-pound man that has twitch and really moves quick, those are really hard to find. And they've got two of them that are extremely athletic.
When you talk about Petway running over guys, how much tackling issues did you work on this week in practice?
We got a lot of black jerseys out there, all right, and we're at the end of the year. I'd love to go tackle all day, but I don't know if we'll make it through practicing the game, Mark. So we work on it all we can.
Right.
And we do the best job we can of trying to make sure guys get near leg, near shoulder, they thump them and strike them. But simulating Petway is, we got to go hit Chubb and Sony to do that sometimes.
Well, I guess I meant you weren't too happy with some of the tackling in the Kentucky game.
Absolutely wasn't. So we work on it every week. I haven't been happy with it all year. I don't know if I'll ever be happy with it, because if we miss one, I'm not happy with it.
Last question.
We work on it a lot.
Anybody?